So, we ended the previous session at this slide. We were discussing about e-procurement, which is the partner in the electronic marketplace, the constituent of B2B e-commerce. We were discussing about the benefits of e-procurement, which are mainly the whole improvement in the productivity of the purchase process of the purchasing agents, lowering of the purchase prices because of product standardization and consolidation of purchases. This consolidation of purchases that is facilitated by e-commerce is something that we will discuss in a little bit more detail a little later. And obviously, this whole method improves the information flow and management in the procurement process. And possibility of buying from non-contract vendors, that means non-standard vendors due to some emergency situation, which often introduces technical problems. So, on one hand we try to respond to an emergency situation, but a non-standard supply may create technical problem. All that is eliminated in the e-procurement process, or at least minimized to a large extent in the e-procurement process, because it establishes efficient collaborative supplier relation, which ensures delivery on time every time. Also, because of the high degree of automation, these processes are very useful for helping out new purchase agents. So, both on the sell side as well as on the buy side, the technology becomes an enabler for the human beings, and it enhances their capability and supplements their lack of experience. Also, because of various pre-qualification method and standardization of vendors, it helps us in reducing the number of suppliers to the most plausible or most eligible ones, and thus the whole purchase process gets simplified, becomes faster and gets streamlined. It actually reduces a key element in the ordering cycle, which is the cost of ordering, that gets reduced, improves sourcing, it integrates the procurement process with tight budgetary control in a much more efficient and effective manner. It helps to eliminate human errors. So, the whole supply chain, this buying selling process improves significantly through this process. So, this diagram again taken from Vitale, his book, shows you the entire improvement that happens in the procurement process. Look at this traditional procurement process, where requisition is raised and then approval is given to that requisition, then it goes to the purchase agent, purchase order is issued to the supplier. In fact, we are to simplify this diagram, we have even eliminated the whole process of inviting offers and evaluation and all that. We are looking here as a standard item, where requisition comes and the purchase agent places an order on any of the enlisted vendors, any of the rate contract vendors. So, you have the purchase order placed on the supplier effects a shipment, raises the invoice, it becomes the accounts payable. When the shipment is received at the central receiving, then the matching takes place and the payment is initiated. This is the multi-stage, multi-step traditional procurement process. And look at this diagram, which shows how that whole process gets automated. So, the searching of vendors and products is automated through the electronic method. Pre-qualification of vendors happens through also to a large extent through the electronic process with some human intervention. It actually then establishes the market mechanism. The comparison of offers as well as negotiation, automated negotiation happens, purchase is initiated, purchase order is issued, and the entire delivery system takes place. Once the matching of the delivery with the central receiving is signaled, the payment is initiated. You can see the number of steps are reduced, almost entirely free of human intervention. The whole process is automated, error free, efficient, and to a large extent effective. And it is open to monitoring at any stage, and if necessary any corrective action, if it is needed, can be easily initiated. For making the e-procurement an effective system within the B2B e-commerce system, it must be part of the overall strategy. So, it must be fitted within the e-commerce strategy of the organization. Let us now, we have more or less discussed all these efficiency and effectiveness improvement points, and you can look at these slides in a little bit more detail at your time, and they are easily understood, these additional points that are made in some of these slides. I will now move to this whole reverse auction process enhanced by the electronic method. So, the e-marketplace for reverse auction. One of the major methods of e-procurement is through reverse auction, which is the traditional tendering and bidding model that we already know. So, requests for quotes are issued through the system to enlisted vendors. The invitation to participate in a tendering bidding system goes to them. The reverse auction method is very widely now almost universally used for all kinds of large MRO purchases. MRO, as you remember again, maintenance and repair and operational spares and standard item procurement, and that whole process is now entirely dependent on electronic reverse auction. Thousands of companies use the reverse auction model today. They may be administered, as we discussed earlier, from the company's own website or from an intermediary site. The bidding process will usually last only a day or more, and bidders may bid only once, but as the bid prices, if the system you so want, the bidders can actually rebid several times looking at the prices that are coming up. So, that way this kind of rebid facility, if provided, this is of course only feasible for standard items. For customized items, this process cannot be followed because that may lead to complications. But for customized items like stationery products, like printer supplies, like various kinds of standard parts, and all these cases, this rebid facility can create very competitive purchase for the buyer. A trading process network, or the TPN, created by General Electric at one time was a revolutionary system. Today many companies use this kind of system in many different ways. It is a large reverse auction system. In this online system, the sourcing department, they receive the requisition electronically from internal customers. So, from the maintenance department, from the offices, from the desk of people, the sourcing department will be receiving large number of these electronic requisitions. So, there is no human transmission, waiting for the attention of the purchase executive. All that is now eliminated, and it automatically the bid package gets sent out to suppliers around the world if necessary, if applicable, via the internet. Nationally, it will definitely go to all the enlisted and approved vendors. The system automatically pulls the correct drawings and attaches them to the electronic requisition form that goes out to the approved vendors. So, it was studied in the General Electric TPN system that the labor involved in the procurement process declined by almost 30%. It cut 50% of the staff involved in the procurement process and redeployed these workers to other jobs. The time cycle became almost half. Invoices were automatically reconciled with purchase orders, and procurement departments around the world were able to share the information about their best suppliers. So, lot of advantages were obtained by this General Electric electronic automated process of buying, and as a result of marketing by their vendors. And this reverse auction process is the kind of thing that gets implemented when you adopt this kind of automated system. So, as you see here on this diagram, again taken from Vitale, contract and purchasing department, they send out the requirement in the form of bid invitation to intended approved suppliers. It can happen through the enterprise web, it can happen through the World Wide Web. The requests for offer, the bid invitations can go out via email or other forms of electronic communication that have now come up. It can happen through direct data interchange in many cases. Then the bids come in. These bids are then evaluated to a large extent through an automated system, but of course, it can be supervised by human beings. And as you can see here at the end, 2 offers are rejected and 1 offer is accepted, and the order goes to that particular supplier. And the marketing process for the suppliers now will be changing to providing right kind of information, updating all their catalogs, providing the all necessary technical inputs, so that when the evaluation takes place, they have put their best foot forward. And this is actually a very efficient system, and it is now working in many organizations, thousands of organizations, tens of thousands of organizations around the world. Like this General Electric TPN system, which was a pioneer, it showed that the suppliers gain instant access to global buyers through this kind of method. It dramatically improved the productivity of their bidding and sales activities. So, the whole marketing process gets shortened, updated, time sensitive and efficient. Therefore, sales volume increases, and therefore, more attractive prices can be offered, because the cost of sale or cost of marketing is getting significantly reduced through this kind of processes. the lower administration cost, the shorter requisition cycle time, the improved sales staff productivity, the streamlined bidding process, all that allows the marketer to become more competitive. So, this is a bidirectional improved method. Now, derivatives from this method will be some for some organizations. For a very large organization like Tata Steel, Tata Chemicals or Hindalco or many such organizations, or Maruti, particularly the large automobile manufacturers, they profusely use this kind of system which is called the internal marketplace, where the aggregated catalogues of all approved suppliers for standard items are combined and presented to the individual departments within the organization as a single large multi-section electronic catalogue that can be referred to by the requisition person. And this benefit of the electronic marketplace is that corporate buyers now can quickly find what they want, check the availability and delivery time, and they can complete an electronic requisition form. It reduces one key condition for this system to operate efficiently is that the number of suppliers should be carefully vetted, should be carefully qualified. So, only qualified approved vendors participate in this electronic automated process, and this also improves the whole financial control process. So, this is often called the desktop purchasing. The desktop purchasing is a direct purchasing from in the internal marketplace, and because these are already pre-approved prices and delivery and other terms, so therefore, no multi-stage approvals are necessary, and up to a certain value it can become an automated process. So, the individual indenters can be empowered in this process. So, desk type purchasing systems are basically a hardware software implementation that automates and supports the purchasing operation for non-purchasing professionals and end users. So, this is kind of the electronic presentation of the configuration. So, you have on the left hand side the buy side systems, where the user interface is provided through appropriate hardware and software, and it is supported by the appropriate workflow and content management and administration, and it interfaces with the intermediary services and connects to the suppliers. So, from the left hand side we have the buy side system, and on the right side we have the sell side or the market system. This approach can actually also lead us to another format, another marketplace, which sometimes is called the industrial mall. The industrial malls are distributors that aggregate their products from hundreds of thousands of suppliers in one place. So, you have, just like in real world, you have distributors who aggregate the components and parts from many suppliers. So, they become kind of a wholesaler from individual suppliers. That whole thing can be now transferred to the electronic platform. So, you can have horizontal industrial mall, which are basically electronic systems that carry MRO, that is non-production parts and materials for use in various kinds of industries. So, it is a really a mall equivalent, where any purchaser can get any kind of standard stationery or other parts by accessing the electronic system, or it can be a vertical mall where it carries products used by one particular industry, but at various segments of the supply chain. So, for a very large organization like Rourkela steel plant, this kind of system can become an useful system. I will now go towards the end of my session, and I will introduce you to some of the variants of this reverse auction etc. that we were discussing. These e-auctions are becoming increasingly popular. Here sellers are increasingly motivated to sell their surpluses and even regular products via auctions. So, initially metalljunction.com started, I think, as an activity of Tata Steel, but now Metal Junction actually provides a platform to many other metal producers, and scraps and various kinds of excess materials are sold through auctions through this kind of websites. So, e-auctions, they provide an opportunity to buyers to find inexpensive or unique items fairly quickly. So, Metal Junction has therefore become, or that kind of sites have become very popular with both buyers and sellers. Group purchasing is something that I discussed a little while back, where number of companies aggregate their orders together to create a volume purchase, so that the best price can be negotiated, and it can be an internal aggregation where company wide orders are aggregated using the web and replenished, or it can be external aggregation. This is more interesting, where SMEs can provide their prices, selection and services by aggregating demand online and then either negotiating with suppliers or conducting reverse auctions. So, this is, all these are now becoming quite popular and regularly used. So, this is a graphical representation of the group purchasing process. So, you have on the block, the first block is small business, they sign up for the free service. The SME specifies what it needs, it could be office supplies, some standard electronic equipment, office equipment. Then the buyers, they name the price, the reserve price kind of what they are willing to pay. The aggregator then groups all of these requests by category and by price. For each item, then the aggregator either negotiates with the suppliers or they use an e-reverse auction to get to the best price and delivery terms and homing on to the target supplier, and then they try to beat the reserve price that is provided, and in addition the suppliers actually pay a negotiated commission to the aggregator. So, this is actually a win-win situation for the whole chain of players, and it can actually bring efficiency and cost reduction by automating the process, which can then be shared, that whole cost saving can be shared by all the players in the chain. This is again something that is today, if not particularly in countries where marketers collaborate as well as buyers collaborate more easily, like in European countries, these methods are very widely used. So, e-purchasing direct goods allows buyers to get them faster, reduce the unit cost. I mean, we are again and again saying the same thing. So, please go through these slides and understand the nuances. Lastly, I would like to mention that even electronic bartering, which is an intermediary that links parties in a barter. So, a company submits its surplus to the exchange and receives points of credit, which can be used by them to buy other items the company then needs from the exchange participants. This is also an interesting form of B2B e-commerce that has become popular in some countries. So, major infrastructure that are needed are usual hardware and software and telecom networks. Earlier, some of the purpose built networks were used like the EDI, but now actually everything is based on the internet with many kinds of secure applications. So, the EDIs have now given way to more open system based, but secure systems. So, I will end my presentation with this slide in front of you, that what do you think are today the justifications for B2B e-commerce applications, how the vendor selection process can be automated, and which B2B model will be useful in your organization, and how you can restructure the procurement system in your organization. Okay. So, that kind of brings us to the concluding session of B2B e-commerce. The summary is in front of you. E-commerce activities happen between businesses in the B2B field. The major B2B models are sell side, buy side, exchange, trading exchanges and collaborative commerce. And characteristics of sell side marketplace: online direct sale by one seller to many buyers. Sell side intermediaries provide value added services to manufacturers and business customers. And the characteristics of the buy side marketplace are the e-procurement that expedite purchasing, save on item and administrative cost, and gain better control over the purchasing process. So, now we have more or less completed the core parts of our course. We will now get to those sections where we will look at how to measure our marketing processes, what kind of metrics we can use to control our marketing processes, and related topics. Thank you.